about skateboarding, but you're just not very good at jumping up and down on your favorite piece of wood. Crab skateboarding, crab skateboarding podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Crowd Skateboarding Podcast, a weekly dive into skateboarding for the average skater, hosted by myself, James.
And me, Jack.
In this podcast, two distinctly average skaters chat to skaters from around the UK who represent a huge range of different aspects of our chosen sport, from the weird and wonderful to the truly talented.
Each week we will be discussing a range of exciting topics regarding skateboarding in these uncertain times.
And this week, Jack, our topic is...
Drum roll, please. Fantasy Skateboarding!
That was epic. Like, somebody needs to hire you as like a voiceover artist.
If you couldn't
That
tell,
was fantastic.
that was Gandalf with the Balrog. So, James, thank you for indulging me in, just for a bit of background, we were supposed to be recording an episode this week with our friend Tom about our favourite skate movies, and someone forgot to tell Tom. And
both of us, to be fair.
Yeah, so now we are without an episode, and I had this idea for fantasy skateboarding. So the background was, James, everyone's talking about the Euros, the European football competition going on at the moment, and there's been a real rise in fantasy football. I know people at my workplace are playing fantasy football, where you choose your favourite footballers from across all nationalities, and then you make a fantasy team and you get scored on how they perform. And I thought, in some ways, that sounds really fun. Fantasy football sounds all right, apart from football kind of sucks. But skateboarding doesn't suck. And I thought that fantasy football is just football for people who are bad at football. So fantasy skateboarding is perfect for us because it's just skateboarding for people who aren't that good at skateboarding. So I thought that you and I, we could have a little catch up. We could form our own fantasy skateboarding league in which we create our own fantasy skateboarding company. So our own company, a dream company. We can pick 4 riders, any riders that we want. We can talk about them, say what they bring to the table. What would our video title be when we release our video? What kind of theme would the video have? What spots would you find in the video? What music? And what could we expect to see? How does that sound?
That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's face it. It sounds like a great way to end a run of very interesting, very intelligent, and spectacularly talented people on the show, and we are ending our first run of episodes with us pretending to have a good time.
I like that we went. It's like, oh, how we've fallen. Like last week, we were talking to Danny about skateboarding as an expressive movement practice and Palestine and all of these and now it's just, oh, you wait, James.
Taking it back to the roots, just us sticking about, basically.
Yeah, that's entirely what it is. That's entirely what it is.
Great.
James is also led on a. Yeah, go on, tell him.
No, you can.
James is led on a hammock doing this podcast at the moment. James is led on a hammock in his garden, because there's no one left to impress.
Okay. So
are you ready to play fantasy skateboarding?
I've been waiting for this all day.
Excellent. Since this morning when I came up with the idea.
I got the message and went, yeah, all right.
That'll do. That's our mantra.
Round 1, fight.
Could you please tell us the name of your fantasy skate company? Tell us about them.
Called Truckin' and Grindin'.
Truckin' and Grindin'.
Because it
incredible.
Sounds faintly dirty and it works.
What's the kind of aesthetic? Jesus.
I'm glad you asked, Jack.
What's the kind of aesthetic? What's the kind of mantra of your company?
It's kind of somewhere between like heroin and pop war. So kind of really bright, bold colours, but you also wouldn't want to show the graphics to your nan.
James, are these sexy graphics?
No, they might have a limited run of those types of graphics, but like kind of like if Pop War World Industries had a baby, basically.
Yeah, I get it. So it's like the graphic element of heroin, of it just being horrible, but with sweet cartoons doing the horrible things.
Yeah. So kind of slightly like horror, like sort of a bit of hammer horror, but in bright, bold colours. Kind of
I
like,
love it.
Remember that TV series, that internet series, Happy Tree Friends? That.
I'm in. All right, James. Let's talk about team riders. So the rules are you can have 4 team riders, anyone you want to ride for your company.
Yeah.
Introduce them one by one, and I want you, as you introduce them, we can talk about them together, but I want you to tell me why them and what they are bringing to the table.
Okay. Want to cover all bases. You've got 4 guys, and you want to cover all bases. So number 1 is going to be Day One. It has to be.
Day One song.
Day One song, the one and only. Because that man is a technical powerhouse. There is nothing he cannot do on a skateboard. And he does it with his trucks so loose, he literally has to grind he removes his bushings completely to make his trucks loose enough to warrant the kind of tech that he does. But he still manages to make it look smooth, does these insane tricks that you probably even have names for them. When was the last time you saw a Day One trick and knew what it was called? Like that level of technical proficiency. And I would say, obviously a lot of people go to Mullen for tech, but he's not really riding that much anymore. Whereas Day One is still going, and he's still going strong, maybe better than ever. Like his Instagram is the most inspiring skateboarding and like social feed out there. And he's just so happy and so chill. And he's like the nicest bloke, but he absolutely kills it on the board.
He does kill it, and also he really injects the fun into it because he's one of those skateboarders that makes, when you see his social media output, he makes you want to skate, or at least he makes me want to skate. I saw recently him drawing, using chalk on the ground, drawing obstacles on the ground, and then basically just trying to power slide around the obstacles on the ground to create the optical illusion that he was jumping down stair sets and doing handrails. Yeah. And I mean, what a bizarre thing to do, but also like what a creative, like that's the joy of skateboarding, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like he got like, do you remember when he got a pair of shoes, tied the laces together, separated them so the laces were tight, and then skated behind them, put a rail behind them, but angled the camera so like he was like nose grinding the the lace. But like, so I think he perfectly embodies the ethos of trucking and grinding, in that he is a really nice, happy, sunny bloke, but he would destroy you at skateboarding.
James, this is just between us. I'll take this bit out. I can hear so much like creaking where you're swinging around on the hammer. It's like, it sounds like the worst definition of trucking and grinding, because it's just like
Does it not fit with the ethos? It does. Keep it in.
It does. I might leave this in. I might
Keep it in.
I might edit it in so it's like when I say, James, are they sexy graphics? So Day One's in.
Yep.
Second rider. Who else you bring in?
Second, Mark Appleyard.
Ooh.
Yeah, Mark Appleyard.
Go on.
Because you need somebody who is because Day One is great at the tech and he's incredibly talented, and actually he's a very good street rider, but a down and out, raw, powerful, stylish street skateboarder. Like not necessarily somebody who's really good in the park, but somebody who can go to the middle of a city, find the grossiest spot and absolutely nail it with the most insane style. Like you can watch this guy skate. So you just watch him, even if you're not skating, you just watch him. Like he's like dances on his skateboard. His flip sorry part is legendary.
It really is
legendary, and he can frontside flip and backside flip to the point, switch to the point where you can't tell whether it's switch or not. He nails handrails, and he just chucks himself at stuff like no fear. So for raw street power, it's got to be Mark Appleyard. He's also another skater who just seems to have an absolute ball while doing it. Like, he gets really angry, but he seems to be having an absolute blast while he's doing it. Like, there's heaps of personality there.
Oh, and do you know what? You need that, because like, you could have the best skate. I'm a great believer in there are so many great skateboarders. There really are. Actually, style and personality are what will separate people. And style, I don't mean style in the sense of defined, this is how you skate stylishly, but individuality, because there are, you know, there are so many brilliant skateboarders, but there are so many of them, and skateboarding parts can be interchangeable. And actually, it's that personality that does carry your, almost your celebrity, I suppose, your recognizability that will carry your brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rider number 3, please.
Well, you need somebody who's going to smash the bowl on the vert, don't you?
You're thinking so logistically. This is good.
You need to cover all bases, man. It's got to be Danny Way.
Danny Way.
Danny Way.
Danny Way. Was it Danny Way? So I might take this out. This is just between us. Our guided reading in school at the moment is an extract from Tony Hawk's autobiography.
Yeah. And
there's a bit in there about Danny Way, and we got to talking about ramps and what the biggest ramps ever built are. And I told the children about the mega ramp. And was it Danny Way who jumped over the Great Wall of China?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
What a nutter.
Danny Way jumped over the Great Wall of China. It was International Skater of the Year twice. It was technically, I think, was it Bob Burnquist's mini ramp? But I can't remember if it was his mini ramp. I can't remember if the mega ramp was his or Bob Burnquist's. But he absolutely mini ramp.
He jumped over the Great Wall of China off a mini ramp.
Yeah. So
sorry,
Danny
James,
Way,
go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Another guy that has absolute balls of steel and is supremely talented. And Danny Way's the DC video part is unbelievable. The stuff that he had over on the mega ramp. And I think it was Danny Way. I can't remember for sure, so I apologise if I got this wrong. I think it was Danny Way who ballsed up an air off the mega ramp, caught both his shins on the coping and flipped over onto the flat, and then just got up and walked off. Yeah. And he jumped out the helicopter, didn't he?
What?
Danny Way jumped out of a helicopter into the mega ramp.
Right.
Did you not know that?
No.
So he's a vert rider that kind of goes out of his way to break boundaries and isn't afraid to break himself while doing so, and is insanely talented, and his DC video part is legendary. Yeah.
Rider number 4, please, Mr. Gav.
Rider number 4 is somebody who needs to back everyone else up. So you've got a technical demon in day one, you've got a street demon in Mark Appleyard, and you've got a vert demon in Danny Way. But they all need a bit of backup. And somebody who can back up every single one of them is Andy Anderson. Andy Anderson is somebody I only sort of came across recently. I've only known him a couple of years. And he is a prodigious tech rider, a prodigious freestyler, an insanely talented street rider, can combine street and technical, can combine sort of freestyle and street riding as well as Mullen or Day One can, but can also absolutely destroy a bowl and a transition. Like his transition riding is incredible. And he's just so stylish and so down to earth and so happy all of the time. Like he's just stoked to be on the skateboard. Like he lives in a van, and is. Does he? Yeah, and he's just.
Wow.
And he says hello to everyone. Like anyone who walks past him, he says hello to. He's like the happiest bloke, most cheerful guy, and he is an incredibly talented skateboarder. He just wants to skate. That's literally all he does. His whole existence is just skateboarding. And
he's the guy you need signing the kids' boards and taking photographs. Yeah. You need that guy.
He's the family-friendly option who can act as kind of like the second from both the street and the freestyle floor. Like he can play like the best of them on anything, and he's got such an individual flair. Like his boards are beautiful, and I really respect the fact that lots of companies asked if he could stop wearing his helmet, and he was like, "Nah, not happening."
Really?
Yeah. Like a lot of companies say, "Can you stop wearing your helmet? It's not like good for marketing." And he's just like, "Nah."
So, with your team of Day One Song, Mark Appleyard, Danny Way, and Andy Anderson, Trucking and Grinding are going to release their first feature-length skate movie.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What's it going to be called? What's the name of your movie, or the name of your edit? What kind of spots are we seeing on the edit? The theme, the music? Tell us about Trucking and Grinding's debut movie.
Okay. So the edit, so the film's going to be called Spit and Gravel.
Spit and Gravel.
Yep.
Yep.
Because the idea being, I'm going to ask at least a couple of the team members to do things that might result in them spitting gravel. So I deliberately chose a couple of riders, specifically Danny Way and Mark Appleyard, who will hock themselves over pretty much anything. And Andy Anderson, the kind of guy who will go to extremes or try something completely new. And Day One, I imagine, you don't see it very often on any of his videos, but I imagine like he eats shit quite often based on the amount of stuff that he tries.
How could you not?
Exactly. So
I hope he does. It'd make me feel nothing but awful if he doesn't.
So like spitting gravel is kind of like what's going to be the end result of what I asked him to do in their video part, basically. So I'm going to find like this for Danny Way. He's going to get like the sketchy. He's going to go on the crap skaters mini ramp. See what we can do with that. That's
Lovely.
Number one. We're going to get the most rusty, like uncared for vert ramps we can find. You know, like those real old ones from the 90s that have been warped and haven't been touched in years, like the old Bath one before it was renovated. You know, like find like the dirtiest pools from like the 80s that haven't been played before, and just send them off and see what we can do. So like I think somewhere like so kind of like St George would be a good place, I think, to send Danny Way.
I was about to say St George. I was on a group, I was on the family of UK skateboarders recently, and someone mentioned St George's Park as one of the oldest surviving concrete parks in the country.
Yeah. And
I was looking at the picture. I love St George's Park, but there are holes in those bowls bigger than your wheels. You know?
I reckon the whole team could have a blast there, because there's so much weird and wonderful architecture and stuff that you wouldn't find at a normal skate park. And like down underneath the bridge, down near the Critical Suspension Bridge, that spot is kind of like Bristol's version of Burnside, but not good, and it's super sketchy. Got concrete ramps and the M32 and the M32, send them down there.
Yeah.
Dirty Bristol British spots, basically. There are a few famous spots that I jet off to just because I really want to see people huck stuff down them. So like Martin Place in Sydney, with all the stair sets that are there, super smooth. I would love to go to Barcelona. It's cliche, but a killer spot in Barcelona.
It's a cliche for a reason, I think, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But kind of like with Barcelona, I wouldn't want to necessarily go to the big spots. I'd want to find like some scabby old set from like behind a 500-year-old Spanish housing complex and kind of see what we can do. You know, I'd just go to like some really run-down British council parks. You know, the ones where they've kind of gone, we need a skate park. I know a welder. Let's make something. And, like, see what Day One can do with it. See what Day One can do with like a box. It's got a dent in the middle and is 1 foot higher on one end than it is on the other.
Yeah.
I want to see what Day One can do on a British council skate park.
Do you know what? They're my favourite skate parks. I don't know if it's just the time that we grew up in, but those here are some metal fun boxes kind of skate parks.
Yeah,
they just feel like home. Let's just read back through. So your fantasy skate team is Trucking and Grinding is what the company's called. Your 4 skateboarders, your 4 team riders will be Day One Song, Mark Appleyard, Danny Way, and Andy Anderson.
Yeah.
Your debut film is going to be called Spit and Gravel.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be looking for disgusting spots.
Yeah.
In Britain, Bristol, just abroad, but just really.
The budget allows.
As far as the budget allows, you basically just want to go exploring wherever you can, finding gravel.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Like we'll go to like Macba and be like, right, here's Macba. Let's walk 20 minutes that way and see what shit we can find. Like that.
you want to go on holiday and use these skateboarders as your excuse. That's what you want to do.
Yeah,
perfect. I love it.
Round 2, fight.
All right, Mr. Barker, are you ready
I'm ready.
to reveal your legendary skate company and skate team to the world?
You wait.
Okay, Jack. So tell us, first off, what is the name of your fantasy skate company?
The name of my fantasy skate company is Wasteland Dance Party.
Wasteland Dance Party.
Wasteland Dance Party.
Oh, I love it. That's some Fallout kind of level stuff. Like that is.
So I think the aesthetic I'm going for is like this retro futuristic, like how they thought the apocalypse would be in 50s sci-fi movies.
Right. Okay.
But with a grin. So the world has ended. The plague has got everyone. Let's go and have fun in the wreckage.
Okay, got it. So kind of like the Outer World style, kind of like bubble-headed, like round.
Yeah, exactly like that. It's like Futurama, where things went wrong, but the heart is still there.
Okay, wicked. I love it. Okay, that's very wonderfully niche. So I'm excited to see where this goes. So Wasteland Dance.
Yeah, and the graphics would all be like everyone would have a kind of them on their board, but like a mutant version of them on their board with kind of limbs coming out of places, like Digipus style artwork. But they'd be happy about it in that kind of hot rod, Jim Phillips looking way. They'd all be like have big toothy grins, and that's what all the team decks would be, like the kind of mutant versions of those riders.
Right, so like nightmare fuel then, basically.
Yeah. Do you remember that cartoon used to be on Nickelodeon called The Real Monsters?
Yeah.
That. With like someone holding their eyeballs and all of that stuff. Disgusting but campy B-movie sci-fi.
Yeah. I love it. I kind of want
Excellent.
To know what it is. If you've got any listeners who are gnarly with graphics, you know what to do. Oh, wicked. Okay, so let's talk about Team Riders, Jack. Now,
oh boy. Well, I was going to say, hopefully some of these riders, I'll tag them. You never know.
Oh, if
they want to pack up shop and come and ride for Wasteland Dance Party.
Well, they might get a sticker out of your sponsorship. That's about it.
Yeah. Who have we interviewed? So we've interviewed Monica and Hillbilly. If you're listening, as the illustrators that we've interviewed, if you want to get in on this at the ground level with me.
There you go. All right, let's talk about Team Riders then. So I had 4. That also means you're allowed 4 because we should play fair, really, shouldn't we?
Excellent.
So, who's going to be rider number 1 and why?
Rider number 1. So I'm going for playing in the wasteland, the kind of optimism after the disaster. That's what I want. Everything's gone wrong, but we're going to have fun. There's, the world is our playground now. And I was thinking, who really represents in skateboarding, who would see the world as something to play in? And I thought there was one answer, and only one answer for me, that really popped into my head straight away. I need Gumi Yagi on my team.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I thought in the wasteland, if you're not familiar with Gumi Yagi, anyone who's listening, you should be. He's actually not riding for anyone nowadays. He's strongly associated with Heroin Skateboards, and he used to be one of their pro riders. And I think he gave up being a pro voluntarily against the wishes of Heroin, who he's still really close with, because he didn't like, he doesn't like the pressure of needing to put out parts or working to deadlines. He's very individualistic in that way. And I know that Heroin still release products for him as like a guest, but around the time of Video Nasty in 2011 or 2013, around that time when they released Video Nasty, he was a pro. He had a part in the film, and it's my favorite video part of all time, because there's not one thing that he does in that 3.5 minute part that I've ever seen anyone else do. Not one trick. And it's bizarre. He looks at the world like it's a playground. He looks at bleak objects and just turns them, including a skateboard, and just turns them into something, an object to have fun with and to play. It kind of goes back to what Danny was saying about playing in public spaces, and he really is a skateboard who does that. He just plays, and he's got skills to back it up. You know, he can ollie for days, and he's got incredible grabbing skills, and it's not any lack of skill. It's the opposite. It's just that he can use those skills to do really bizarre things that other people just wouldn't ever consider doing. Or, you know,
definitely, didn't he?
Yeah, he's the dance party in my Wasteland dance party.
And he's ideal, actually, because in the Wasteland, you're unlikely to be able to get really good quality skateboarding hardware. So if anyone can hook together anything to use and then use it,
yeah. Well, Gumiyagi,
you're fine.
Gumiyagi famously doesn't use grip tape. And apparently this annoys a lot of the people who tried to film with him when he was a pro, because he liked carpet on his board because he said it felt great. I think it led to problems with consistency, possibly, for those filming him, and led to a lot of frustration. But, you know, there might not be grip tape in the apocalypse, so he's fine. It's great.
All right, number 2. Gumiyagi's number 1 in Wasteland Dance Party. He's number 2.
Number 2 is Nora Vasconello.
Okay, a little bit about Nora.
Nora is a pro for Welcome, and in Seance, their film, it's the first thing I've seen of her. She's just incredible. So I think she does a little bit of everything, but I guess I'd characterize her as a street skateboarder, using the term street really loosely, because what she skateboards in, the kind of places she chooses to skateboard in, are crusty, well, really like nuclear wastelands. She you know, old gravel pits, the kind of old reservoirs that have been long abandoned, sort of radio towers that no one uses anymore, old industrial buildings and complexes. It's the kind of streets where it's not just that it's old, and it's not just that it's crusty, but it's that it was old and crusty 50 or 60 years ago, and now there's trees growing out of it and things like that. So it's where nature has, where nature is reclaiming, and these are the things that she chooses to skate in, I think intentionally more often than not. Yeah, so in her part for Welcome, right, she was in this Welcome Seance film, and one of the things that she did that I just thought was amazing, I mean, it's all kind of like riding like barriers and things like that, just really horrible, blunt objects that don't really have any way to get onto them, seemingly. Yeah. And one of the things that she did was like a blunt into a dark slide. So she blunted at the top of a barrier, like a traffic barrier, with plants growing out of it, blunted, landed on the grip into a dark slide down the kind of slant of this barrier, which the slant of this barrier, by the way, isn't like because the barrier is going down a hill. It's because the actual stone, the concrete, is falling away that the barrier is made out of. So now it slants downwards on one side. Right, and then she dark slides down that and off into a ditch. And that was like the second or third trick that I saw, and I thought, this is great. I mean, it's horrible, but very intentionally horrible. And it's beautiful because it's almost post-horrible, you know? It's like, actually, everything's terrible, but look, the trees are coming back, and like, this is a playground now. And I think, a bit like Goo, I love that it's this kind of like making something beautiful out of something ugly. I think that's what I love.
I think that's perfect, because you've hit on a spot that mine's lacking. I haven't got any female skaters in my team, which is a poor shout, and maybe I should have reassessed that actually. However, you have now sort of got not only a male and female skater, you've also got one skater who can take advantage of any equipment he finds in the wasteland and make a board out of it and use it. You've got somebody who could actually practice the skateboarding post-apocalyptic architecture. So you're doing
exactly that. Thank you. I've gone for my theme.
You have. So who's number 3?
So you could probably guess this one, James. Probably obvious. My third skateboarder is Darth Maul from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Magnificent. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I did not see that coming.
Now, I thought, so a few things here. So Darth Maul, as we know, is a legendary skateboarder. He's been shredding for years. 1999, he first came on the scene. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Unbelievable. We saw loads of skills. He's the only skateboarder that I've ever seen skateboarding with a lightsaber. And now I can quote you my reference. So I found an article about Darth Maul on a website called The Hard Times that I'll link to this episode. An interview with Darth Maul about his skateboarding days.
Reputable source, carry on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyway, a genuine interview with Darth Maul. And they were talking, there were loads of things that I thought were incredible. So he innovated the Sith Saber spin, that legendary skateboard move where you spin around on the center of your board on like a fire hydrant or an obstacle like that, while swinging your double-edged lightsaber. Now, not only was he the first, but the controversy is true, right? So this, easy now. So this is not only is he the only skateboarder that I know, or to have used it, but he also innovated this, and it was very controversial, using a lightsaber while skateboarding. So in this interview, he says that apparently Jeff Rowley was so upset about him using a lightsaber while skateboarding that he tried to get it banned from the X Games for using his lightsaber in skateboarding competitions. And he said, luckily it didn't catch on, because I think that Jeff Rowley was just a little bit jealous that he didn't think to innovate in the same way. He was getting all this attention. And it kind of almost echoes what people said about Mike Vallely, what people said about Rodney Mullen at a point, where people were scared of innovation. And I think that he was controversial. And now, of course, we all look back, and when we're listing our legendary skateboarders, Darth Maul always comes up, as we know. So there are some problems with this, though. I mean, well, other things, post-apocalyptic look for my company. I want them all to look like survivors, kind of people who are both playful but also toughened by their experiences. Darth Maul has metal legs. He certainly looks like he's survived an awful lot. He, since retiring or semi-retiring from skateboarding, he's been running this crime syndicate called Crimson Dawn, which is it adds a little bit of edge to the company. Yeah, go on. What are your thoughts?
He faced a bit of a setback when he lost his legs, didn't he? Let's face it.
Well, this is it, and I think that, as far as I'm aware, I would be the first sponsor for him since that event. But I know that he's back on the board. My people have been speaking to his people, and I think we can make that happen. The only problem I have, and this is the only thing that makes me a bit nervous, is this idea of separating the art from the artist. Because Darth Maul has done some morally questionable things. That could give us a little bit of edge. It gives us that kind of...
A little bit of murder here, a little bit of galactic overthrowing there.
Well, possibly, but, we'll see, I suppose. Yeah. Is the authenticity more important than him being a role model? Do I need a role model? I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm sticking with it. My third option is legendary skater Darth Maul.
Legendary skater and skateboarding amputee Darth Maul.
Yes.
Oh, great stuff. Okay, so you have somebody who could take advantage of the architecture in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, somebody who could build their own board and shred it, and you've got somebody who could be a supervillain and is also, used his fair share of hardships, and has kind of probably been on a few planets himself that are quite similar. So he may well know what to do. He
might know spots that we have no idea about.
Yeah, exactly. And with his lightsaber, he can carve you up some spots. If you found
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so you find a nice stair set, but there's a block or a rail in front of it, you can just sort you out,
A little known fact about Darth Maul: when he fell down that hole in the Phantom Menace, at the end of the Phantom Menace, with no legs, he actually had his skateboard tucked into his robes, and it's actually like a giant, like a kind of giant bowl. And when he hit the bottom, he just thrust it underneath him, no legs, straight up the other side. He did a sick melon grab, unbelievable.
Meanwhile, Voice of the Emperor's there going, "Skate on, my son."
Yes, let the shreds flow through you.
So number 4,
Darth
Jack.
Maul.
Oh,
My number 4 skateboarder is yes. Now this one isn't entirely fleshed out because we hadn't decided whether we were having 3 or 4 skateboarders. James, my 4th skateboarder is someone you're very familiar with.
mm-hmm.
James Gabb. My 4th skateboarder is your evil twin, James Grab.
Oh no, not that bastard.
James Grab. I know. Another evil character on my team. I know. I was a little bit nervous myself, but hear me out. Now, James Grab, he's got a bit of, Richie Jackson, who rides for death.
Yeah.
So Richie Jackson, obviously a wonderful skateboarder. He's also got a really unique look. He has the kind of top hat, the sort of long hair, the sort of long, almost like circus ringmaster hair, really flamboyant floral shirts. And I think that his look, as kind of like a stage magician almost, helps really solidify him in the memories and imaginations of skateboarding fans, because there's brilliant skateboarders everywhere, but only Richie Jackson does it while dressed like Danny DeVito in Dumbo, and
He looks
I think
like a 70s prog rocker.
he does. He looks incredible. And I thought, okay, so who do I know that has a similar kind of vibe, like a really unique look? Because Darth Maul, Nora, Goo, they're all great riders, but they're all pretty, we're used to them all. They're all just your standard shredders, fine. James Grab, as you know, he's got a long, twiddly mustache.
Very evil, yeah.
Very evil. He wears a pork pie hat.
Shady as anything.
Shady guy. He's got that little Van Dyke beard going on. He sounds a bit like Waluigi from Mario.
Yeah, he's got a very high-pitched laugh. It's a cackle more than anything.
But also, he specializes in grabs.
I see.
Yeah, and I mean, Darth Maul doesn't do many grabs because he's always holding his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Goo does use his hands a lot, but I think his style is defined as something almost entirely separate.
Yeah.
Nora is kind of a classic, like ditch witch, like real shredder in the kind of ditches and the curbs, and whereas I think Dr. Grab, he's just real good with real good grabber. He loves his melon grabs, his indies. He was
grab.
Little known fact, he was the first nice joke. He was he was actually the first person, according to James Grab, to do the 900. But sadly, he was doing time he got caught because his evil plans were foiled by Tony, who then came and innovated the whole thing himself. Stolen are the words he'd used. So I feel like he's really kind of, yes, he's evil, yes, he's done some bad things in the past. He's done all sorts of terrible things. Like he gave Nike the idea to start making skate shoes, and like really like
on to Adidas.
evil stuff. But he's a changed guy. He's out of prison. He just wants to get his kids back. And actually, he's a shredder, and he's hardened from the prison system. I think that he'll be a good addition to the team.
So, Jack, reel us through your 4 skaters again.
So my 4 skaters are Goo Miyagi, Nora Vasconcello, Darth Maul, and James Grab.
Nice. That is a solid team. So, what are you going to, when it comes down to filming them, you've got to make a video edit. What's your video edit called?
So my video edit, keeping the post-apocalyptic theme, is called Beyond Thunderdome. F-U-N Dome.
Ah, funny, witty, very Chris Quitty. I like it.
Thank you very much. So I thought I'd stick to the post-apocalyptic theme, Beyond Thunderdome. And the video would be split into 2 parts. So it's a feature, but I'm getting away from the traditional each skater have a part approach. I'm kind of almost going back to how the Bones Brigade used to do it, where they'd go on a trip and they'd film in different areas. So this is how I envisage my video. The first half of the film is going to be them visiting different spots. And these spots will be abandoned theme parks and roadside attractions. So I know that up country in the United Kingdom, there is Camelot, what in the 90s was a really huge, famous theme park that was completely abandoned, and it's now all shut off. In that theme park are still roller coaster rails, unused dodgems, halls for shows, an old castle, like a pretend castle, a skating rink, all kinds of things that I imagine would be great for skateboarding in, right? Also, it'll take a bit of creativity, I think, which my team certainly have. The idea of visiting abandoned places really plays into this idea of this post-apocalyptic theme, this wasteland theme. And I again, making something beautiful out of something ugly, I have a fascination with abandoned places and abandoned urban places, and specifically theme parks, to be honest, because they're so joyful. And then when they're abandoned, it's almost like the death of joy. And I love the idea of a good bunch of skateboarders coming in and kind of reclaiming the joy in that decimated space and making it joyful once more. So that's the first half of my of my film. Then when we've all funned out, the second part of the film will be, we'll have our big Thunderdome, our big dome kind of empty hall, which is just a big dome in the desert. And it'll be essentially scrap heap challenge for skate park building. I'll send my team away to search the wastelands or to search their surrounding urban area, wherever we are, because there's not actually been an apocalypse. It's just for the sake of the narrative of our team. We'd have to pretend a bit, but they could go and pull things, whether it be like abandoned cars, traffic cones, old telegraph wires, whatever it might be, and they have to build skatable obstacles out of just junk that they find. And then
I love it.
Whoever can perform the best maneuvers on the most interesting obstacles that they've created, that'll all make it into the video. So it's basically scrap heap challenge, but with crap for skateboarding.
Oh, that is genius. You've really thought this through, haven't you? Like, you put a lot of thought into this.
James, it was a long staff meeting at work today. I had a lot of time to...
I feel like some skate company's going to come and nick your idea now. I've got this wonderful image of, like, remember when we spoke to Pete and we talked about videos, I mentioned Police Academy, and they're all bombing down the streets. I imagine like that, but at a theme park, sort of that via a Tony Hawk level. Like that's what I'm getting with this. I love it.
That's entirely it. That kind of backdrop of just like emptiness and all of these strange architectures and objects that were made for something entirely different that haven't been touched for years. And let's do something cool with it. Let's. That's
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's. You can't do the whole length. I'm not pretending, but like, let's lay down a piece of roller coaster track and try and do something on it, And what can I do over this Dodgem car, and just things like that.
Yeah. Did you see recently Red Bull put out a video where it was like reclaimed an old
the airport?
The airport, yeah, and it was like
yes,
it was 3 level. It was sick.
So that is exactly the vibe. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
Final round. Fight.
Okay, so we've got Spit and Gravel versus Beyond Thunderdome. What would you rather see? I want to know what you would rather see. Let us know on our Instagram. Let us know on our Facebook. Message us. We want to know whose team you prefer. We'll put out a post for it.
Yeah, we'll put out a poll. You can look at our teams. We'll have pictures. You can vote. And then whoever gets the most votes, James, will win the inaugural Fantasy Skateboarding Championships.
Wonderful.
Amazing. It's also worth saying to everyone who's listening, who might be listening, that since we've done our run of 20 episodes, this is actually the season finale for our first season. Thank you so much to anyone who's listened, anyone who's been a guest. It's been an amazing season. We're not going away for long. Basically, what it means is that we've ran out of episodes that we've edited, as you could tell from today. So we need a few weeks to actually get some more together. So we've got a release schedule back ready for the next 20 episodes. So we won't be gone for months on end or a year. But this first season is done and we'll be back soon. So please keep your eyes peeled.
Jack is being wonderfully honest there. I was going to come up with some like wonderful story about how, you know, we're being released from the leashes of the pandemic. We're going to go enjoy our summer for a bit, enjoy the long evenings. No, what's actually happened is we have run out of episodes.
If you love skateboarding but you're just not very good at jumping up and down on your favorite piece of wood,